Welcome to the U.S. latest news channel. Watch the video to the end to find out the current and breaking news about the Russian war in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian state, invaded many regions of Ukraine last Friday, becoming the second president of Ukraine. He declared the biggest war after the World War. This situation stunned all countries of the world, and a heavy reaction was received against Russia. Protests began in many places to denounce Russia and stop the war. On this, U.S. President Joe Biden stated that all NATO-owned territories would be protected and warned Russia in angry language. His statement at the White House was as follows: "America and its NATO allies are ready to defend every inch of NATO territory." Then don't misunderstand what I'm saying, Mr. Putin. We will protect every inch of NATO without exception. Then, in his statements, he stated that Putin's reckless words and threats will not deter America and its allies. Putin's moves won't scare us. His actions indicate that he is in a struggle. Biden made these speeches a few hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that his country had started an accelerated process to join NATO. Then, in a hateful statement on Friday, Putin referred to the West with Satanist and neo-colonial words. The Russian state mobilized its armies to occupy the Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and finally Zaporizhzhia regions of Ukraine after the Kiev and Western governments held illegal referendums. After Putin ordered a major mobilization to send thousands of his troops to the occupied areas, Russian soldiers were surrounded by the Ukrainian army in one of the occupied areas. The news of civilian deaths during the war had a heavy impact on the media. Many laws of war were violated. After that, Putin made his most anti-Western speech in more than 20 years in power and stated that he would continue the war for a Russia that is more involved in history until the end. He also called the West a neocolonialist, as he described in his previous speech, and accused it of trying to destroy his country. And without having any evidence in his hands, he made accusations that Washington and its allies blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. Russia stated that it had held a historic election in 4 Ukrainian regions, which it said it had absorbed and attacked. Putin used the following words in his speech against the political elite of his country. They chose to be together with their people and their homeland, to live by their own decency and to prevail. The truth is with us. Russia is with us. Referring to the regions that he stated that Russia occupies, Putin said, "All those who live in Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson region, and in October in Zaporizhzhia region will forever be citizens of Russia," said. "We will continue to defend our territory with all our assets and means," he said, calling on the Kiev administration to abandon its hostile attitude and negotiate. In addition, Putin noted that Ukraine has stopped issuing nuclear warnings against him for 2 weeks. At the same time, he said that the 2 atomic bombs dropped by the United States on Japan in 1945 formed an example. In general, Putin thought that the West had plans against him and based his moves on them. This ceremony was held Putin's Russia. Russia finished with the slogan. After shaking the hand of the pro-Russian authorities, Putin stated that he wants to have the right to govern in the regions where he is fighting to win the regions. Thousands of people were wrapped in the Russian flag at the place where these speeches were held, while after the ceremony was over, they flocked to the Red Square in Moscow to listen to celebratory pop music. And in the meantime, Putin said, "Victory will be ours," he spoke in the forum. On top of this, U.S. President Joe Biden condemned Putin's invasion movements and made it clear that he would harm those who provide economic, political, or any support with the sanctions he would do. The head of NATO, on the other hand, said in a statement that Putin should immediately put an end to this war. Ukrainian President Zelensky, on the other hand, stated that the condition he is looking for to start peace talks is that Russia has a new president. In addition, he announced that Ukraine has begun operations for rapid membership in NATO military units, which Putin opposes in Moscow, and will accuse Russia of forcing it to draw borders using lies, October massacres, and blackmail. Despite these statements and Russia's harsh war policy, Ukrainian President Zelensky, "Frankly, I'm still committed to the idea of equal, fair, and decently coexisting between Russia and Kiev. But this does not seem to be possible with the current Russian president," he said. Therefore, we are ready to establish a dialogue with Russia only with a new Russian president, continued in the form. Ukraine and Western countries talked about the results of fake polls conducted in Moscow. According to the results, polls in 4 regions of Ukraine showed a large majority in favor of joining Russia. But it was stated that these referendums were illegal and fraudulent. It was learned that only collaborators of the Russians participated in these referendums, and many Ukrainians boycotted and opposed it. In the light of the information obtained, it seems that Russia is trying to occupy the regions in violation of many laws. World public opinion is furious against Putin, and massive embargoes have been imposed against Russia. The Russian ruble has experienced a historic decline. Despite the serious impact on Russia's economy, Putin continues to maintain his pro-war attitude in his speeches. In response to these embargoes, Russia made speeches stating that it would cut off the natural gas reserves it offers to the world and pull the price to a historic level. In contrast, although the United States and the West have made speeches to state that natural gas resources other than Russia are sufficient for them, the largest part of the world's natural gas reserves are located in Russia. At first, the pro-war attitude of the Russian people changed after the embargo. There were protests within Russia to stop the war. Despite this tough stance taken by the West and the United States, they have not yet been able to make any moves to stop the war. This raises questions about the sincerity of these countries. Ukraine continues to give the message we are ready against the exercises that Belarus has carried out in the regions close to the Ukrainian border in recent days. The issue of whether an enemy attack will take place from Belarus against Ukraine is on the agenda of public opinion. Ukrainian forces remain cautious in the face of the dangers around them. He is taking importance in order to strengthen the troops and not to be shaken in a possible attack. Each of the structural units continues to be strengthened by firepower. The State Border Agency is building fortifications related to the issue. Repel the attack of enemy forces, increasing their ability to Belarus alleged Ukrainian armed forces, the National Police and the National Guard to be effective in the face of danger with the structural units of the State Border Guard among measures taken or to interact with the acquired information. The border guards are making every effort to ensure the protection of our country, starting from the border, said Zaporizhzhia, deputy head of the State Border Guard Service. According to information received from official authorities, the readiness of MIA units in border areas was checked. In order to avoid public discussions, it was personally checked by the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, Ihor Bondarenko. The Minister of Internal Affairs sets and constantly fulfills tasks to quickly clarify and promptly solve the needs of the relevant units of the Ministry of Internal Affairs system at the places of deployment, said Ihor Bondarenko, who is closely following the developments. It is worth recalling that Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko and Russian President Putin agreed on the creation of a joint group of regional associations. Ukraine is trying to counteract this large-scale invasion movement of Russia on February 24, 2022. Ukraine has sent a message that it will stand up to the Belarusian army despite all the adversities. In connection with the escalation on the western border of the Union State, we agreed to form a group consisting of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus, Lukashenko said. This is all according to our documents. If the threat level reaches the current level, as it is now, we will start using the State of the Union grouping. The basis of this group, I have always mentioned, is the army, the armed forces of the Republic of Belarus, he said. Belarusian Defense Minister Viktor Krenina said that they do not want a war with Poland, Lithuania, or Ukraine in question. In addition, do not provoke us, we will October not fight you. We do not want to fight with Poles, Lithuanians, or even Ukrainians. There will be no war if you don't want to and don't take wrong steps, he said. This statement, which was a guarantee that they would stay away from the war as long as there was no provocation, was a promising statement by peacemakers in the world public opinion. In addition, U.S. Ambassador to Chisinau Kent Longstun said in a statement in recent months that Russia's aggressive attitude towards Ukraine and attempts to forcibly redraw the map of Europe have caused deep concern and sadness around the world. There are high-level security measures in Belarus, where exercises have been held for a long time. Demchenko stressed that strong and significant security measures have been taken since Russia launched the invasion of Ukraine on February 24th. It is also worth recalling that Russia launched the invasion of Ukraine after conducting joint exercises with Belarus. As a result of these exercises, Russia's army forces approached the Ukrainian border. The regions of Ukraine bordering Belarus were heavily attacked by Russia at the first stage of the invasion. It is an undeniable fact that Belarus, which has been ruled under the leadership of Alexander Lukashenko for many years, has been acting as a logistical base for Russia since February 24th, while supporting Russia's aggressive attitude towards Ukraine. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to be informed of the developments at the speed of light.